Right. So let's talk about the things that your bank is going to want from you in order to establish your business banking relationship with them.
Okay, so banks are all a little bit, well, they're not all a little bit different, but some banks are going to have a few different requirements from other banks. Most banks are going to require the Articles of Organization, which is the document we file with the Secretary of State. They're going to require you to have an operating agreement, and you also need to have a federal tax ID number.
Okay.
Now, the other stuff that we're actually going to provide our clients are for multiple reasons. One of them is going to be to make their jobs a little bit easier when it comes to forming a bank account. We give them those initial consent minutes that are giving a person authorization to set up a bank account, and then we even give you a bank authorization. That is another way of saying you have authorization to form a bank account. Because what happens is if you do decide you want to run a business anonymously in Missouri by having us set it up and having us act as your registered agents, your name is not on that Articles of Organization, and some banks out there decide, well, then you need to have your attorney's permission, being the guy that's listed on the form, to actually form an account, which is not true, but it's just those banks' requirements. Okay. So the bank authorization has shown in the past to be enough for most banks. There is one other bank that's hanging out there that even wants you to go back and amend the Articles of Organization, and my advice is if they're telling you that, find a new bank, because I probably wouldn't work with that bank anyway.
Right. So what about the guy or gal who does not go through the legal formation, basically file fictitious business, basically, right? There's self-employed, I don't go through a legal process, I just hang out my shingle. What does that look like for them to get a business banking relationship?
So there's nothing wrong with forming a bank account for your basically sole proprietorship that's not formed as an LLC. They'll get that done, and then they will either set up your name with your social security number, your fictitious name with your social security number. Every now and then we'll have people go set it up with a federal tax ID number for themselves personally without an LLC or anything. Okay. So the catch is going to be if you ever decide that you want to form an LLC, you have to open up a brand new bank account. If you have any automatic withdrawals or any automatic payments or anything like that are taking place, they're all going to have to stop and be moved over to the new account. And then also that federal tax ID number is not going to be able to be transferred into a new entity. So if you go from doing it as yourself as a sole proprietor to forming an LLC, we're going to have to get you a new tax ID number, which could screw up any contracts or anything like that you have going underneath that existing number you're using.
So in kind of tying back into a previous conversation we had, if we think that our business is going to be $50,000 in revenue, or maybe as low as $30,000 in revenue each year, even if it's a brand new business, saying you're at zero, but you think that's a new roadmap, then maybe it makes sense to go ahead and form that LLC today and get that banking relationship established under the LLC, so that when you're at that success level of growth, you don't have to go back and kind of worry about these administrative things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely a great way to go. You should be planning for the future and not trying to change things as the new events pop up.
Awesome.